Are we live?
My guy, yeah, we are live. We don't do lives anymore, but yeah, last time was live. But Pat, buddy, welcome back.
How you doing, man?
Oh man, it's good. It's nice. Feels good to talk to you again
Yes,
in
sir.
person.
Yes, sir.
Have you back in the studio.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, what do you think?
Dude, it's nice, man. It's a nice setup. I like this.
Man, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah, we got a new producer. Like, we're lighting up. This is good. This is good. So I was rewatching the last two parts that you did where you were on the show, and I was curious. We didn't really dive into the like your process of going to Ireland,
Right.
and then your Europe era, and like the time you spent.
Yeah.
So I figure we could start there. Dive in. Tell
Sure.
us kind of what your process was like on making that decision, and then that's where we kind of took a turn off to more how you ended up interning with Mitch.
Yeah.
And I think this time we could focus turning the other way and steer towards what Ireland was like.
How we go into it? Yeah, man. So, yeah, dude. So, like, kind of we talked about before, like when I was in high school and I was like, I'm not sure what I want to do, right? So there's a lot of opportunities that I or different routes that I could have taken, and then I basically found out about this program in North Bay. So more kind of the whole program is based around like Olympic weightlifting, more or less like strength training for athletes and stuff. So I kind of looked at it like, okay, I'll be able to get a little bit of an understanding of like exercise physiology, biomechanics and anatomy and whatnot. So it's kind of different aspects of fitness that I enjoyed. So more or less I kind of wanted to dive into that. So I ended up doing 2 years in North Bay, and then from there they had the opportunity for a few students to go over to Ireland.
Nice.
Get their degree in strength and conditioning, right? So, so yeah, more or less from there, man, I kind of just, took advantage of the opportunity, realized that it'd be something I'd probably never be able to do again, is
100%.
go to university in Europe, right? So
Okay.
it would have been, so I just capitalized on the opportunity, man. And then, went over there with a couple of my good buddies, and then more or less we dived in. It was set up basically first semester you're doing classes, and then on your second semester you're going on that internship. So this is how I ended up at Inspired, right? But we already dived into that. So yeah, man. So while I was there, basically I was just learning just different aspects of strength and conditioning, how to train athletes. And then when I came back here, and then this again, how you and I got connected again, right?
Yeah.
So
Sweet.
But yeah, so
Nice.
yeah.
So then with that, you said a few of you guys went over to Ireland. Was there like a qualification to go?
Yeah, so more or less, man, like it was kind of, they were taking students that they, displayed, obviously were academically like performing well, and more or less too, there was a group of guys, and it's just funny because it worked out, like we were all best buds, right? So it was sick, but yeah, like we were able to, or basically they broke it down to, who was academically in a certain category that you're able to go.
Nice.
And then from there, our professor had a say in more or less who he thought would be a good representative of Canada. So there was, from our school itself, I believe there was 6. And there was a few other universities in Canada, that went over as well. I don't know how they basically set it up, but he kind of more or less picked students that he thought would represent the program well and would be able to benefit from this degree offered at the university in Ireland. So
Nice.
yeah, man, so it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, so it wasn't just something that you could send an email or send in an application, your name, you just fill out a form and they just send you.
Yeah, like
it says a lot about you when your professor's like, yeah, this guy would be a pretty solid representative. We're not going to pick a lot of people, but you're one of them.
For sure, yeah. No, I think so, man. I think there's, definitely some value to take from that, and I think it was good. It was good indication that the students that he did decide to choose, and we ended up representing our school well. Like we all graduated with. A few of us with honors, and a few of us, just missing that smidge from it, right? So it was good, man. Like again, and it just so happened like these Fiverr guys that I went to were all my best buddies, so the opportunity was great. So
now with that, what was your typical day like when you were studying over there versus what was your typical day like here?
Oh, dude. So man, it was cool. I actually lived in so the university was kind of set up in this small town, but I lived in more or less like this on the outskirts on almost like a farmland kind of thing.
Nice.
So dude, there's sheep in my backyard and stuff, just the typical some Irish stereotype, right?
That's the best.
But yeah, man. So it was cool. We'd wake up, we would do something. So I was living with an Irish family at the time. So it was more or less we'd do the tasks that whatever they wanted us to do, and then it was kind of go to class, do whatever, go hit the gym. and then go back, teach weightlifting at night, and then kind of rinse and repeat. On the weekends, go to Dublin, party for a bit,
Nice.
go back to school on Mondays.
So similar but different. When I was in Ottawa, it was a similar structure, right? With like the few cultural things that I feel you had to do in the morning versus in the evening. But basically, I would go into the city in Ottawa, like deep downtown, on the weekends, and I could probably pick a few experiences that stood out. Do you have any from Dublin? Because I'm sure Dublin is a very different scene from the nation's capital. That you'd be willing to share.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a few that I probably shouldn't share, but
I'll heal them after.
there was from Dublin specifically, because I got a few from like other places that I went to in Europe. I'm trying to think with Dublin, man. Oh yeah, okay, so
we got him.
I remember one. Okay, so this, so my buddies and I went to this club. Like the thing with Dublin, man, like there's so many bars. Like the town I lived in, they had maybe like 1,500 people. There was 20 bars. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like
double the amount we have,
right?
Sudbury.
So yeah, exactly, man. So like when you go to Dublin, man, like there's a bar like at every corner, right? And like you're getting up and it's like 11 o'clock and guys are going for a pint, right? Yeah. So I think it was like the first weekend we were there. We went to this bar and we ended up like meeting these two Irish girls, okay? And they were like, these good looking girls, and like roughly around our age too. So like perfect. So they actually like came and approached us and like started talking to us. Nice. And they're like, oh, like you guys aren't from like around here and all this stuff, right? Apparently we don't look Irish, so
weird.
Huh. But yeah, man. So these girls come and approach us, right? And we're talking and like we're hitting it off, and then two of them are like, oh, we're gonna go outside. I was like, I'll go with you. So basically, long story short, we end up hanging out with these girls, and I'm just about to go hitting it off with this one girl, and I'm about to go back to her place. Yes. And
we'll hang out.
She begins to tell me that she was homeless for 2 years. And I'm like, yeah, dude. And I'm like, and my buddy was with me at the time, and like he's standing beside me. He's like, bro, what the fuck's going on? Like, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to come off as a dick. And she was like,
this is incredible.
She was like straight face, like, yeah, I was homeless for 2 years, and I was like, okay, I'm not judging, but I'm like, that's something, that's big. Like, you don't just tell someone that right off the bat, right? And I'm like, holy shit, man. Okay, so I look at my buddy, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go inside for a sec. So we're like, yeah, we're going to the bathroom or something. So we go in, and we're like, dude, how the fuck do we get out of this, man? Because these girls are like expecting us to come back, and I'm like, fuck. Long story short, we didn't end up doing it with anything with them, right? So we dodged both there. But from there, man, we're fucking Sandy shaking his head right now. So so we're leaving this bar, and this fucking guy comes up to us, and he's looking a little sketchy. He's like, obviously he's had a couple to drink, right? And he's like, you guys want to buy some stuff off us?
Oh jeez.
And I'm like, fuck, dude, it's our first weekend in Ireland. I'm like, fuck, man, what's going on? And like, I don't do that stuff. And I'm like, fuck, dude, like, is this guy a cop or something? Like, you don't know, right?
Yeah.
And my buddy being dumb, just like, what do you got? And then from there, he you get me. And
that's probably someone for jits or something.
Yeah, we can cut that. So yeah, from there, man, this guy, he's like, oh, I got a bunch of different stuff, whatever, not gonna name some stuff. And then I told my buddy, I was like, no, man, like, we don't want to get involved in that, whatever. So this guy gets pissed off, and he starts fucking chasing us.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he pulls out a fucking knife and starts chasing us, dude. And we're like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, so we start, like, running down, like, there's the famous, like, Temple Bar. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Yeah. There's, like, a main strip there. So we just start bolting it. And so we get away from these guys, and I'm thinking, I'm like, fuck, dude, this is my first week in Ireland. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, this fucking, this sketchy dude, like, starts chasing us and shit. Like, it was a wild fucking time, man. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, so.
What the hell?
Yeah. You probably got some crazy story there from Europe.
Yeah, I'll match that one.
What we got?
So, a few that I want to, like, get off my chest on the show. But this one I'll start with. So
say, how in depth can we go here? Like,
oh, we can go.
Okay,
we can go. Yeah, and anytime after, and I'll edit this part out as well. But anytime after, I tell all my guests anyway, and I've probably told you before, but let me know after the fact you're like, hey man, I don't like that I said this, or I wish I didn't tell you about this, and then I'll take it out instead of like conserving what you have. So just say it all, and then
just let it out.
Trust all. Remove it. 'Cause I don't want you to be like, fuck that guy and it's a stupid podcast.
Make
fucking
it look bad,
50
man.
people watch it. You know, like, yeah. So, yeah, so similar events took place, but I'm in Cinque Terre in Italy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cinque Terre. Okay.
Cinque
You know where that is?
No, but
No.
Cinque Terre or
yeah,
whatever.
I mean like
there's
five grounds or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're basically like bays. And they have really old style houses that come up into the hills.
Okay.
And my buddy, basically the premise of what we were doing is I was trying to document us going on our trip, and his goal with each city was there are really famous photos from these locations of the towns or like landscapes or night shots or skylines, and his goal was to recreate them.
Right. Okay.
And so we went to Cinque Terre, and we're like, we can do this. Problem, you can't get in by car. You can only get in by train.
Okay.
We took a car. So the road was closed about 3 kilometers downhill to where it was. So it's here. We're here on the road. We pull up back into this bush, and we run down to catch the sunset. Where we're seeing the train come in, we're like, crap, well, we should have taken the train.
Right.
But anyways, we post up here. We get out. Excuse me. We start hightailing it down through these really narrow, steep, like thick stone Italian like steps. And now
that cobblestone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we get there to where we got to go, and we're like, okay, this. He's like, bro, this is the shot we want to take. Like, and I'm like, okay, we can go like maybe there, no, maybe there. We try a couple different spots, right? One for the skyline, one for the sunset, one for just like the people, one for one of like the architecture. All the colors was really cool, right? It's those old like pinks, yellows, orange colors on the buildings, right? And now we get up to this point, and we get to a look up. There's a bunch of people, and now we set up this tripod similar to this, and we line it up, and we go take our long exposure shots. Basically, those are shots that you click the button, and it's like a 10-second exposure where it clicks, and you have 10 seconds, and it captures all the color in that amount, or in that photo, and then the photo looks more powerful.
Right,
so usually you'll be able to easily tell the difference between a short exposure where it's click, point, and shoot versus a long exposure where you can see like the color and all the details more pronounced in the foreground and the background. It's more powerful of an image. Now, with that being said, this is James's more or less James's style of photos when we were in certain places for the sunsets.
Okay.
So we're up at the top of this lookout, and we're like, this isn't exactly the way we want it to be. There's a power line in front of us.
Right.
Crap. We move a bit higher up. There's a branch in front of us. Okay, what do? We go down. We're like, this is where we gotta go. It's this flower bed, right, about the size of this floor mat, and it's about 2 feet up above, right. It's in the stone flower bed, and it's 2 feet off the ground over a gate, a steel gate that's in somebody else's property. So James and I go, well, that's where we gotta go. So what do? We jump over it. Of course, we want the shot. That's the goal. That's the reason we went all the way down. And Sandy's like, I would have arrested you. So but we get down, and we climb over, we hop down, and James is like, dude, we should probably figure out. And I'm like, wow, great thinking now. Great idea, bro. Hey, Glenn, you should probably, can you go around the building to make sure there's nobody here? I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. So I get up, I walk around. He's posting up right on his flower bed there. And I walk around the building, I see nobody. I'm like knocking on the door. For whatever reason, I thought this was a good idea at the time. I knock on the door to see if anyone's home, right? And then I'm like, yeah, this is a stupid idea. I go back, I'm like, dude, like, we're all good. And he's like, cool, we're just gonna take a couple like long exposure shots, he'll be out of here. I'm like, perfect. He's like, just keep an eye. So there's the gate, there's the wall, the pathway we took, right?
Right.
James is here. Clear visual of the gate. We see people and hear people coming down. So we're like, shit. We get out of the way, we hide here, and they walk past, we set back up, right? All of a sudden, people come back up, same thing. We're like, crap. Then somebody comes up, and we're like, shit, dude, shit. Like, and he's like, all right, yo, let's hide. So we hide. And I'm like, I look up, and I make eye contact with one of them, and I come back, and I'm like, and then they start like getting more like rowdy, and I'm like, James, and he's like, what? I'm like, I just saw one of them. They're coming in. He's like, what? I'm like, there are 3 of them. 3 dudes that are ready to come in back to their house. They're unlocking the gate. And at this point, I'm like, how are we getting out of here?
You guys are
like,
fucked.
The only way we thought to get in was over the gate, and I spent the whole time going, all right, is anyone home? How can we get out? No other way. Because how they kind of do their security is they have those stone walls and then cement, and they have kind of glass shards in the cement,
Right,
and then they pour the concrete. So it's just glass sticking up. They do the same thing in South America, and so you can't like grab onto fences and climb over, right?
Right, yeah.
Can't climb the walls like that. And so we're like, Michael, what are you gonna do? So James and I bounce out, and we're like, hey guys, what's going on? And they're like, what the fuck are you doing? And we're like, well, see, my buddy here is a travel photographer. I'm a venture vlogger. Like, this is what this is what
Set
we're
yourself
doing.
up, yeah.
We're like, well, we're ready to go. But we're like, all right, yeah, like this is what he's doing. This is what I'm doing. And my buddy James is pretty stubborn. James, I love you. Sorry, but you are. And I'm like, man, he's like, oh, whatever, guys, we're taking photos. And they're like, what do you? Thank goodness they speak.
That's what I was going to ask.
Right?
Speaking English.
Thank goodness. Yeah. It was broken up, but we slowed down for him. And they're like, yeah, man, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, huh? What are you doing, huh? And we're like, yo, we're just trying to take that photos. Like, and then I look, I'm like, man, they're like, did you go in our house? And we're like, no, we literally just hopped the gate and post up. They're like,
oh, they actually pissed, yeah?
Yeah, they're pissed, dude. We broke into their property, right? And we get over and we're like, okay, what's going on? And then they open up the gate and we walk in and they let us go. And they're just like, just get the fuck out of here, right? That's kind of the attitude they have. And James and I are looking, we're like, thank you, like, sorry to bother you. We'll tag you in the photo. Like, check the photo at jholden92. Like,
throwing out your Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Dropping as we run away. Excuse me. And then as that happens, I look back at James. I'm like, James, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, I was ready to throw them. The moment one of them would have done anything. And he's like, dude, we could have taken them. And I was like,
Yeah,
you know, probably. But I mean, 3-on-2, we would have had to swing first, swing fast, and run fast. So.
Fuck, man. Yeah, you guys are lucky you made it out of there. Fuck.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jesus,
That was yeah, there are a couple like close calls, but I've never had like for all the cities that I've been to or countries I've been to, the places in Italy were by far had like the sketchiest experiences. Yeah. I feel like I had one in Florence, which I'll get into another like later, but man.
Yeah, Italy's fun, man. I fucking enjoyed Italy too.
Yeah. Where'd you go in Italy?
What did we do? We did is it Naples or Napoli? Is that pronounced Naples?
Well, I call it Napoli, but it's
Napoli,
Naples,
yeah. So someone said Naples, and I was like, I think it's spelled that. It's like Naples or whatever. Anyways, so we flew into there because I guess from Spain we couldn't fly directly to Rome. Mm-hmm. So like we flew into Naples, and then we took a train from Naples to Rome, and then Rome, dude, like Rome was amazing, like awesome, right? Like obviously, like we had seen so many different things, and then like that the next day there was like a flash flood, and like dude, like we just got absolutely soaked, man, and like we're all backpacking, so like we all had like one outfit, but like our bags got soaked too, so all my shit in the bag got soaked, man, and so we had to take the train back to Naples and then catch a flight out of Naples. Apparently, like, I don't know why, but we couldn't get anything to Rome or out of Rome at the time.
Weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
Really weird.
But like, dude, like I just remember, like, dude, man, that we were walking in like 2 feet of water to get back to our Airbnb, just absolutely soaked. We ended up like, you know, like there's a bunch of guys all the time like selling shit on the street.
Oh yeah, it's the best.
Yeah. So we ended up like this guy was trying to sell us an umbrella for like €10. We talked about it like 4. Like, dude, we're like, dude, there's a fucking massive flood going on right now. Like, hook us up, right?
Yeah, hook brother up.
Yeah, we didn't have the best luck, though, man. But, like, Rome is sweet. Actually, yeah, so when we're in Naples, this is the funny part. So, I guess, like, so we were in Ireland when we booked all these, like, Airbnbs and stuff. And, like, we didn't really have anything, like, crazy planned. Like, we were all really tight for cash. So, like, hey, we just want to do something, like, cheap. But, like, you know, we want to, you know, see some cool stuff, right? So we knew we wanted to see Rome. Spain was kind of just like, you know, Barcelona sounds cool, so we'll do that. And then Poland, Poland was just cheap as hell, and it was cheap to fly there, so we're like, okay, we'll stay there. And so with Italy, with Naples, I guess Naples has like a lot of like, there's a lot of mafia around there.
Oh yeah, dude, mafia.
Yeah, so
run-ins. Yeah,
man. So like, I booked this fucking Airbnb in like, in like this sketchy part, and I didn't even know it was sketchy, dude. It looked alright in the pictures.
Yeah, always.
And then we get there, and dude, it's like right in the like mafia territory. Like, oh yeah, man. Like, I was like, what the fuck, dude? So like, I didn't sleep that night. I'm like sitting there, like clenched fists, like, what's gonna go? Yeah, what's happening?
On edge the whole time.
Yeah,
I don't blame you.
That whole trip, man. Like, we literally planned like everything on a whim, and everything just worked out perfectly. We didn't miss one like flight, one bus, whatever, man. Like, just worked out well. But yeah, dude, like fucking booked this fucking Airbnb. It's like right in downtown, like where all the mafia hang out. I'm like, I gotta look into this shit better. So,
jeez,
yeah, man. So,
do you do it on like the Airbnb app? Like Hostel.com.
Yeah, there's
Hostel World.
Hostel World. Yeah, did you use that one?
I do that all the time. Dude. I found the sickest one in Belgrade. Like the sickest hostel in Belgrade, no one was there. They were like up against the wall. It was like 2 bunk beds, like multiple chargers. The guy's like, "This is where you want to go," you know.
Yeah.
He's got like a man bun going on. He's all like hipstered out and stuff. But
yeah, you can get some decent ones, man. They're super cheap too, which is nice, right?
But the problem is if you see ones that are sometimes too good. I fell multiple times into that trap. Yeah. Same thing you did, where it's like, "Oh, this looks great."
This looks great. And it's like in the slums or something.
Yeah. Like. But there's one in Romania was the one I actually want to tell you this. I think this is pretty funny. So we get to Romania, right, and we're touring. We're in Transylvania, right. So we're deep in the neck of it, right. This is as east as we went in Europe was like Romania, and we went and we're touring through like everywhere we can. Bucharest, Transylvania. We get there and I'm like, hey, yo, this is a great idea. We should pull up to vampire camping.
How was vampire camping?
My buddy and I are like, you know what? Let's do it. This is a great idea. We pull up and sweet camping spot, sweet experience, but okay. So we pull up in this car, right? It's this little French mobile hatchback, whatever. We pull up and we get out. It's maybe like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. It's dark. It's weird, but whatever. So we pull up and the guy's got a thick Romanian accent. And we're like, hello. He's like, hello. We're like, what's going on? Like, anyways, we're there. We're talking to him, and I'm like, he's like, we're like, hey, yo, so can we get a site for the night?
Right.
And he's like, 2 people. We're like, yeah. And he's like, 2 tents. And we're like, 1 tent. Yeah. And he's like, 2 cars? We're like, 1 car. And he's like, 1 car, 2 tents. And we're like, this went on for minutes. It was like 1 car, 3 people, 2 tents, 1 car. Anyways, it got to the point where he's like, and we're like, no. 2 people, 1 tent, 1 car. And he's like, he looked at us and was like, this is real time. He goes, 1 tent, 2 people, 16 euros. And then we're both like,
so you think these are a couple or something?
Fuck. So to that, we do the transaction, right? By James, we each pull out like 10, whatever. He gives us like 4, we split. Whatever. We pull up, and as we're walking by, I'm like, James. He's like, yeah. And he starts laughing because he knows what I'm about to say. I'm like, dude, he totally thought we were gay.
That's what I was going to say.
100%. Yeah, dude. But what's funny to me about this story is I retold it 2 weeks later to my mom, and she goes, you know, Glenn, it's funny that you say that because about a week ago, Romania passed a law that prohibits same-sex marriages.
So he thought you guys were trying to get it on this time.
Yeah, like real quick, right to the ladder, right down to the wire.
Oh, shit, man.
Get it in right at the end, you know?
16 euros, good price too, man.
We met some sweet, like, dudes from the Netherlands there. We just kicked it. We took them to, like, a gas station. We all got, like, this really, like, basically, like, whatever, like, 40s of Old English are here, but over there.
Pack them back too.
Yeah, and we all just like Edward Forty-Hand style. And we just went at it and drank as much as we could.
I feel like Romania would be sick, dude.
Yeah, it was. That was probably the worst hostel experience I've ever had.
Yeah, if you stayed in some pretty shitty ones, I've stayed in a couple like, oh, fuck. Okay, I got one actually. Yeah, with Dublin. Okay, so when we went on that trip, because I was saying to you, like I lived like an hour outside of Dublin.
Right.
So we would take the train. Like when we went on that like 10-day trip, I had to take a train. Obviously into Dublin because we were flying into the airport there, right? So this this hostel in Dublin, like we stayed in like when we first like flew from Canada to Ireland, we stayed in this like super nice hostel. It was like one of the nicest like rated hostels there. Like I think it was there was a 5 of us. Yeah, there was a 5 of us, and it was like a 6 person. So we only had to stay with like 1 stranger.
Nice.
It was fine.
Not bad.
And that's like this is where I'm going with this. So like,
nice.
but the next time when we like stayed in Dublin, I don't remember if I booked it. I think one of the boys booked it. But anyways, so they we get this hostel, and this one's like kind of sketch, but it's cheap. But it was like I think it worked out. It was like €5 each, man. So like for like $10 a night, you're not gonna get anything great.
In Dublin, that's phenomenal.
So like, dude, we get this fucking room,
I'm so nervous.
and there's just like this middle-aged guy sleeping on the bottom bunk. He turns over, he looks, he goes, "Which one of you guys sleeping up there?" And my buddies are like, "Oh, Pat's up there." I was like, "Fuck you, Pat's up there." Dude, I was like, "Fuck, I can't, like."
That's incredible.
I'll take one for the team, so I'm like, whatever, man. Like, dude, like this whole trip, man, I didn't sleep, because there's a few times where I was like fucking scared for my life, dude. So like, whatever, we go out, I think we went to a bar, and like, we come back, and Buddy's like, I get in there, and he's got like, it was one of those like things on his book, and he's just reading it. I walk in, and he looks at me specifically, and I'm like, dude, I'm about to fucking, like, I'm getting raped or I'm getting killed, dude. like, fuck. So, I go, I get in the bunk, and I'm sitting there, and the buddies are, like, texting in the group chat. They're, like, laughing at me and shit. I'm like, fuck you guys, man. Like, this guy, like, if anybody's going, I'm going first, right? So, this whole night, I'm not sleeping, man, and homie's making some weird noises down there, dude, and, like, I feel him, like, poking the bottom of my mattress, because, like, it was just, like, bars, and then you got, like, the mattress on top, and Buddy's just, like, poking, and I'm like, what's this guy trying to do? Like, is he trying to get my attention or something? So, I'm like, fuck, dude, like, I don't know, like, what the hell I'm gonna do here? So, long story short, I get out of my bunk, fucking crawl in with my buddy, and I'm like, dude, I'm sleeping with you, man. Like, I'm not fucking, like, I'm not getting killed by this guy. Nothing happened, but I'm like, dude, like you meet some weird people in these hostels, man. Like, holy shit. But it's like, and this guy's like fucking 50 years old, is traveling by himself, barely speaks any English, and homie's just staring me down the whole time, and I'm just like, so, I mean, obviously I'm gonna be like reacting, like,
Yeah,
you know,
me too.
have my guard up kind of thing, right? So yeah, dude, like, fuck, meet some characters in these hostels, man.
Jesus.
Did you guys ever have to, like, where you had to bunk with like a bunch of people? Or?
So there's one, oh man, I'm trying to think of the best one. But we had it once where it was in Romania. I'll stick in that one. But it was me and my buddy James, and there's like 8 beds, and we get nervous when we see we're like 8 beds, and we're like, there's 2 of us. We think worst case scenario, there's 6 other people. Yeah, 16-year-old.
Yeah.
There's 6 other people. They're all like, man. Well, we had it bad in Croatia, but that was just people being rowdy, coming in drunk, whatever. That's what it is. But anyways, we pull up and we go in, and we kind of go in this dark alleyway. There's steps that go downstairs. It was steps that go down, and then a flight of stairs that went all like super high. We're like on metal stairs. We open the door, and this woman goes, "Hello, welcome," and we're like, "Well, this must be the place."
This is it. Yeah.
It's these old wooden, like these old rustic wooden bunk beds, and there's like 8 rooms, or there's 2 rooms with 8 bunks each, right? So it was, well, like, yeah, this is fine. We see already people's stuff on 2 of the beds, so we're like, whatever. And then same thing, we met one buddy who was from Poland, actually. We met him, he was from Poland, he was traveling just by himself, backpacking, so we were kicking the shit with him. And he was down here, I was here, and James is here. James doesn't do the bottom bunk.
Okay.
You know, whatever his reasons are, he doesn't do the bottom bunk. So 98% of the time I was on top.
16-year-old, but.
And yeah, anyways, Buddy and I are like, I'm bunking above. And I'm there, I'm like, yeah, this is fine, whatever. And we start shooting the shit when we like go to sleep. And like, all of a sudden, like, it was an older woman and her daughter. Her daughter was probably like my age, and the older one was maybe in her mid to late 50s, right? Whatever.
What did the daughter look like?
Well, fuck, she looked alright when she was asleep. But the mom was like, she snored so loud.
Dude, that's what I hate,
It was
man.
the worst, bro.
Dude, so, like,
Oh my god,
If
it's bad, isn't
if
it?
you snore, you shouldn't be fucking staying in a hostel, man. I mean, I know it's hard to control, but like, dude.
I put on the headphones, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this is great, whatever. Bro, I put on these headphones, and I could still hear.
Just out
I
loud,
turned up the music, dude. It was weird. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So, homie, get this. My buddy James. I'm like, fucking stressed now. It's like 3:30 a.m. So in Sudbury, it's like 8
right.
p.m. So I'm like messaging him. I'm like, yo, this bullshit.
Yeah.
I sit up and I look down, hoping James is like like either fast asleep, so I can be like, dude, I'm glad at least one of us slept, or awake, being like miserable with me.
Right.
I look down. James looks. He's like, made eye contact with me before I even saw him. He's like, I know, dude. I know.
Right.
I was like, what are we gonna do? Whatever. It was so just how it usually goes is I would wake up and then James takes a bit slower time to wake up and we kind of end up like he'll shower first, I'll shower, and then we'll hit the road right away. So it's usually we get up. Usually it's me first and we get up really quickly. So I get my bed woken up the next morning like 8 a.m. It's getting like James is like, dude, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. And I was like, what? He's like, get out of bed, let's go. I was like, what's wrong? What's going on? What's the problem? And he looks at me, he's like, dude, bed bugs, get out.
Oh, dude. Fuck.
I leaped. I didn't have my sleeping bag because it's summer and it's in Romania. It's 32 degrees at midnight. So I'm just lying in my shorts anyway, in my pillow. I'm like, oh, this is bullshit. I just want to close my eyes and get enough sleep to carry me through the 7-hour drive the next day. Excuse me. So, right, I get up and I'm like, James, I'm like, shit. So I hop up and he's like, dude, the woman got bit by bed bugs in the other room. We got to get out. And I'm like, that's why I was like, weird. Why the fuck are you? And I'm like, are we going to get eat? And he's like, no. We're going now. I'm like, okay. We get up. We say peace out to the dude from Poland. We take his advice, go to whatever lake he wanted to show us. And we got out of there. And I was like, dude, what the fuck is going on?
Dude, I would have lost it, man.
But
Bed bugs and shit.
yeah, but what was cool is that it was like it was our first night in Romania, and I guess we got to a spot somewhere, man. I can't remember the name for the life of me right now, but it's a small town, border town, whatever. And the coolest part about it was we ended up walking through like the town square, and we heard like boom, 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 boom. And we're like, what the
People
fuck's going
partying.
on? Yeah, dude. There's a DJ festival going on in the middle of this area, and there's like a bunch of people, right? And basically, what James and I know, we're reading this book. If you haven't seen it, it's called I don't even know. It's called The Game by Neil Strauss, and basically, it's a game where he talks about like pickup artists and stuff, right? And there tells a lot of stories about how to develop those skills. And James and I, the whole trip, were either listening to World War history, right? Because we're driving through those areas. We kind of want to know. We're listening to like a lot of hardcore history like podcasts. We're listening to a lot of like Art of Manliness podcasts, like a lot of like podcasts that focus on skill development and like history, or like a lot of stocks also, those type of podcasts. So we're listening to all three, trying to soak our brain in. But I had books, so I would read the books while he's driving. And so I'm reading these, and then I'm like reading some of these things. I'm like, dude. And they talk about a section at the beginning there, like get practice with a cold approach.
Right.
And they're like, they give a couple examples. And we're like, well, let's do this one. But we'd walk up to them and be like, hello, could you tell us where we can get some cotton candy? And these people would just start speaking like the craziest of languages and the most outrageous dialects. And we're like, dude, this might be a problem.
Dude,
I think we found the reason a language barrier exists.
Dude, that's what I found. Yeah, like I found with like where did you guys go on that trip? You guys went to you guys did a couple countries for sure, right? You did.
I think I did like 18.
You did 18.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Some
okay,
were we drove through.
So you did okay.
Yeah. So like we spent like an afternoon in Austria type of thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it wasn't like you stayed for a couple days.
Stayed for a couple days here and there. A lot of the places, like Barcelona, we stayed for like four days. Germany, we stayed probably.
Barcelona,
Hilarious, dude.
I told you the story.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I want to make that into a clip, but anyways, so we did that. But a bunch of countries went to Italy, France, Germany, Romania, Spain, Croatia, Monaco. That was super cool. Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and then other things.
Yeah,
Other
you guys did quite a
places.
bit.
France, I already said that. Netherlands.
I wanted to do Amsterdam, yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been sick.
Yeah, dude, you'd love it.
Right.
Yeah, it's your style. It's your style. It's right up your alley with red light district.
Oh man, dude, yo, like that's what I found. Like with Spain, man, like, because when we got there, I was assuming like a lot of people knew like there was gonna be somewhat English. You know what I mean? Like people speaking English, right?
Yeah.
Dude, we got to Spain. Nobody spoke English, man. In Alicante, it's like off the coast. It's on the east coast.
Yeah.
I guess in Barcelona they do a little bit more because it's more touristy, right? So you're gonna have people speaking more English, right?
Yeah.
Get to Alicante, man. No one speaks fucking
Nobody.
English, dude. And I'm like, fuck. Me and my buddy, we speak French, so they pick it up a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
it's helpful for sure.
So my buddy's from Quebec, so he speaks French. He's got a little bit of Spanish too, right? So we get off in the airport, and I'm like showing the cab driver, like, I need to go here, but I guess it's not a full address. And
Okay.
he's like yelling at me in Spanish, like, basically telling me, like, he doesn't know what this means, right? So I'm like, fuck. And it's like late at night. How are we going to get to this Airbnb?
Yeah, we gotta go.
Anyways, long story short, we get to this Airbnb, but the next day, we're, fucking my buddy, dude, like, so he was able to speak French to some of these people, and, like, they were picking some stuff up, so, you know, it was making it happen.
Nice.
We get to Barcelona, we fly over, and we're in the cab, and this guy's, like, speaking Spanish, like, he's, like, having a great time, like, fucking smiling at us and shit. We're like, what the fuck is this guy saying?
Yeah.
Man? Like, I have no idea.
Oh no.
And we're trying to, like, get him to pick up a few things, and we're saying nothing, dude. He's not picking up any French. So we're like, I look over to my buddy John, and like we're like telling this guy, we're like, hey man, we want to go get something to eat. Like we're trying to find somewhere to eat. He's not picking it up. So we lean over. We're like, John, tell this guy where he wants to eat. Yeah, sure, no problem, man. Leans over to the guy. In English, goes, hey man, we're looking for somewhere to eat. I'm like, bro, like, we're honestly like, dude, what the fuck, man? Guys looks at us, just gives it a big smile, absolutely nothing. So I'm like, I'm pulling out Google Translate, but that dude, like, the language barrier was so difficult. Italy, it wasn't too bad. Poland, they spoke actually quite a bit of English, which was nice. But like Spain, dude, like that's what I was saying. Like a lot of the countries that you went to, like there's probably like barely any English, right? Like. So you guys like you had a book though, right? So you were trying to
I had a book with like common phrases. So at border crossings,
yeah.
Dude,
You guys. Oh, that's
a couple messed up ones.
Yeah.
But I'm like punching through, and I'm like, okay, like I'll say some stuff in like Romanian, and we're like trying to get to that. But like I could also show them. But in Google Translate, I would do that. I just have to download like the languages prior off of like whatever. Whenever you had Wi-Fi, download at your average. Like not Tim Hortons, but coffee shop, whatever, and your gas station. Thank God for gas station Wi-Fi, dude. Man, trip would have been so much longer if I didn't have gas station Wi-Fi. But yeah, so that's kind of what we did. We kind of like picked like whatever languages. He would pick a few, I would pick a few.
Right.
I pick like Italian, but like I speak French relatively well, and when I was back there, that's what we did. But 6 months prior to my European trip, I went to South America, so I spent 8 months for that trip prep with the group of people doing the service trip with me, practicing Spanish.
Right.
So I had enough of a Spanish, like, language to be able to, like, communicate. I could tell them, I was basically like, if you slow down, we could have a conversation.
Right. Did you pick it up, like, what they were saying, yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm out of practice now, because it's tough, because it's like, man, I'm learning, I want to learn, but now it's a matter of, well, I don't know when the next time I'm going somewhere is.
Yeah.
So
no, it's definitely valuable, man, for sure. That's one thing I realized. I was like, I gotta invest in like somewhere I think I'm gonna go more often. Like it's great to be bilingual with French, but like learning something like Spanish and then like even like Sudbury now is so diverse. Like you go anywhere, man, people are speaking so many different languages. You go down south to Toronto, fuck, like you know what I mean. You're hearing Mandarin, you're hearing
super different.
like so many different things. So yeah. No, I think that's super important. Yeah.
No, it's incredible. And there's man, what was one I was just about to say? It was like I find one that wasn't my camera though. I don't think. Thank goodness. I was like, I ain't never heard that sound on my camera before.
What the fuck's going on here?
But what time is it?
8:56.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to keep going for a bit, or do you want?
Yeah, we can keep going for a bit, and then I'll let Buddy know. But yeah, there's a man. What was the moment I was about to tell you? You had it where you're like not a hostel, but with the weird guy. No, crap! I had it. I'll cut this out. I had it.
You're saying like
Yeah.
I was talking about homie being weird, sleeping on the bottom bunk.
Yeah, and then there's mine.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to get your thoughts going here.
What the language saying? Oh man. So when it came to border crossings, so the worst border crossing, like by far, versus like when you drive and when you actually, this is what I want to say.
Got it?
Yeah.
There you go.
To your point, it's not. I think learning an extra language is super important, but if you plan the trip out to an aspect where James and I didn't need to go talk to a bunch of people in Belgrade to like enjoy what we wanted to do there.
Right.
We didn't, for a lot of the places we wanted to go, we didn't need meeting people wasn't the focus of why we were going to that destination. Right. We'd go for like certain adventures or certain like lookouts or cliffs or like lakes or swimming holes or like lagoons that we could go to that were more secluded. So we would see people in passing and be like, hey, what's up? And then we'd go and we'd just hang out and he could speak English, I could speak English. Thank God. And then we just do whatever in these places. But a lot of places when you go, I think some of them except France, all of them except France were pretty good when it came to like you trying to learn, like trying to talk to them and like trying to understand. And I find, and you probably found this too, when you're talking to other people who aren't from the same language or same background or race or culture or anything like that in relations to you, but you guys are in the same, your timelines met up. Right? And on the other side of the planet, and then you're talking to them about language and be like, man, your dialect's this, or like our language we do this, or we enunciate our R's more, or why is our French different from your French? And I find that comes up a lot in conversation with people who aren't. I never speak language when like talk about languages when I'm with friends of mine, ever in Sudbury or like rarely in Canada. But as soon as I go to like South America, or as soon as I go to like Cuba, meh, or as soon as I go to like anywhere like Ireland or Peru, Belgrade or Amsterdam, like everywhere, whenever you meet people, you're like, man, your language is this.
Right.
Why do you say, like, I noticed your accent? But you'll notice when people from South America speak English versus Europeans speak English, it's very different.
Right.
And I want to know why. You know?
Dude, I don't know, man.
I'm like, man, why? Like, that's what my buddy and I were talking about. Like, man, you're Dutch and you speak English this way.
Right.
You're Irish and you speak English this way.
Right. Where are they picking it up? Like, it's maybe the same thing. Like, where did they like interact with someone that it's like, or someone taught them that way? Where it's like, even because I think in Ireland actually their second language, so they do like, well, that's actually a bad example, but like, so they obviously they speak English, but they learn Gaelic as their second language, which is fuck, dude. Like, you want to talk about a weird language, man? Gaelic is, anyways, but. You know, you go into some of these countries where it's like English is taught in school as their second language, right? So with that, more or less too, like how they were taught, but it's like if they just pick something up from someone that they came across, right? So it's like, you know, it could be multiple answers to why do you speak like this, or why do you pronounce things like this in English, as opposed to someone else from another spot in the world where they speak English too, right? Or where they picked it up, so.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I definitely think, man, we should do a trip one day.
That's what I'm saying, man. It'll be fun, fuck.
Get whoever fucking boys you want to bring mine from wherever they are in the world right now.
Dude, yeah, I want to do a trip. I was supposed to do Ireland in September.
Nice.
That's not happening.
I was supposed to do in end of August. That's what I want to do.
That's what you want to do, yeah.
Yeah, with the girlfriend. See how that goes, and I think it'd be pretty cool. Like, we've done a lot of research on it and cool place to go. I know I want to touch base with you like a couple months out to see how that would go. Just because I feel talking to people who've experienced it. Like if you said, dude, I'm going to Italy, I'd be like, yo.
You gotta check this out.
Yeah, you gotta see this, right?
Yeah. Talk to Sandy about that.
Yeah. Nice.
No, for sure, man. I think that's like, definitely like getting in contact with people who've been places, because you could read all the shit and you could, look at all the YouTube videos, like, this looks great, but it's like, okay, someone experienced. Like when I went to Barcelona, man, I was expecting it to be sweet. Obviously, that brothel story that I told you about was sick. But at the same time, like, we were only there for a day, and I felt like I was was like, man, I kind of wish we went somewhere else. I think Barcelona would have been sick if I would have stayed for like a week.
Yes.
But we stayed for a day, and it was like, man, like I didn't really get to experience. So for me, if someone asks, it's like, well, like I don't know if I'd go back to Spain like anytime soon. Like if I were to go to Europe, but I definitely like 100% like when I was going flying to Ireland in September, I was going to go to Italy as well, and then experience countries I didn't like, Germany and stuff, or that I didn't get to experience, but. Yeah, so it's like I think more or less getting someone's experience on where they've been, and it's like, all right, I can feel them out. You know what I mean?
Right, and it's to your point. I've noticed it's a perspective. Like I find a lot of that's what traveling is, at least to me.
For sure, yeah.
You go and you see not only you experience a culture, but experiencing a culture is getting that perspective.
Yeah, 100%.
On the way they live, the way they do their things, and just the whole man. I love like food. Overseas, man. Like Italian food, phenomenal. German food, people are sleeping on it. Schnitzel.
Yeah, it's probably pretty good.
You'll love German meals. You know why they're all so big?
That's why,
Bro, you'll see it and go,
Bosses are eating like crazy.
Yeah, 3 different types of meats. You got their schnitzel, like their whatever their veal is. You got the,
that's good shit, man.
Phenomenal, man. But
you guys find that when you went to Europe, did they just assume you're American, and then when you say you're
dude. Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
So that was actually, so it's funny you say that. So I remember actually our last week in Ireland, like we were coming back home for Christmas break. Well, actually, like for good, but it's around Christmas time. And dude, this guy, we went to, my buddy and I were living with that Irish family.
Yeah.
We wanted to like make them like a portrait, just like as a thank you. So it was just like pictures with them that we took and all that stuff, right?
That's sweet.
So we went to this like Photoshop and like to like print these pictures, and this guy, like we're talking to this guy, and he's like, oh, you guys are American, and we're like, no, we're actually Canadian. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, you know what I mean? Like it's like he offended us, and I was like, dude, what's your perception of Americans? Like, and I'm like, fuck, man, I'm like, I don't know if you got American viewers, but like, dude, like over in the East, man, like they like look at America as like the fucking like epitome, man. Like they're doing everything backwards, everything's wrong, man. Like I actually had a professor, and he's like, dude, like you Americans, man, like they're almost like so like we could dive into that another time, but it's like, dude, like they're like, you guys are brainwashed by like the government and society. It's like, and it's true, man. Like living, dude, in Europe, man, everybody is like so, the way of living, man, is so much more relaxed.
It is,
and it's like, dude, everyone seems so much happier.
What do they do on Sundays?
They just like, well, the family I lived in went to church in the morning. And we all had lunch together on Sundays, and we just relaxed. There was no work.
There was no work.
That's crazy. You didn't do anything, man.
Yeah.
Here, dude,
everything's shut down.
We talked about that. It's go, go, go. In Western society, it's go, go, go. And there, dude, they realize that you're gonna be so much more productive with balance, man. Like they work hard when they have to, but it's like when they take their time to relax, they take their time, and it's like they're not on this 24/7. It's like, dude, like if I brought my phone to the dinner table, like the family's pissed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's super disrespectful.
Yeah. But yeah, no, for sure. Like, so I don't know if you got that where they thought you're American.
A lot.
Yeah.
James, yes. Me, they're like, oh, you're from Spain.
Yeah.
Just like by the time we got to these places, it was already like it was August 10th that I left for Europe. So I had already had a month and a half, 3 months of sunlight.
Right.
So it's not even August 10th and I'm this dark now.
Yeah.
Right? So they're like, oh,
they
man.
thought I was Irish, bro.
Like, oh, you're from here.
Yeah.
Where's your house? Point us to your neighborhood.
Yeah.
No, James got that a lot. We had a moment in one of the saunas in Budapest in Hungary. We were in one of these like Kawartha pools. It's like a spa they do, right?
Right.
Funniest thing, we're sitting there in the sauna. James is like, dude, like look at her. And I was like, yeah, she's cute. You know, let her know what's going on. And James goes over, sits down, and he goes, hey, so where are you from? That was the opener, right? And he goes, so where are you from? And she goes, you know, I think she says some like Sweden or some bullshit. And then James goes, where do you think I'm from? And then she proceeds to list every country in the world except Canada. Yeah. And she's like, Italy? And James is white, like pale, right? Like, more than you, like significantly.
Dude, everyone thought I was
you.
Italian too, man.
Yeah?
I was like, I don't know if I just got like, I don't know, whatever. Anyways,
and that's what it was. But she's like, are you from Italy? No. Spain? No. James is like, try West, or he's like, try West, and she's like, Mexico, and I was like, and James looked at me, he's like,
I ain't getting any luck
Yeah,
with
no,
this.
he's like, I'm over it now. And then he's like, no, keep guessing. She's like, I don't know. And he's like, come on, play. You know, I'm like, God damn. This sauna fits 50 people, right?
Right.
And it's me. Like, it's kind of like the door, and then we like this, right? It's like a U, like horseshoe. And James is like here next to this girl. I'm here. People are like surrounding everybody, right? Like pre-COVID era. So we're shoulder to shoulder. I'm like, this is nice. You know? And then
score, yeah.
James gets up, right? Some late old lady sits down, and then Buddy's like, that's what Buddy said though. He's like, man, like what? And he looks at me. He's like, dude, I shouldn't have been here. But yeah, a lot of people always guess it wrong, but they go the U.S. before they go Canada.
That's the thing too. Like, there's so many different immigrants coming to Canada, so it's like we got a mix of so many different races. So it's like you know what I mean. You could be, you could be Spanish, could be like from Venezuela, Mexico. You know what I mean? And like me, like I could be totally, any race, right? So
like you look pretty European.
Yeah. So it's like they don't assume Canada's the last place, right? But
yeah. We're a pretty diverse country, though. I like to believe. Yeah. So I think that helps with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Yeah, we can cut it. One sec, Sandy. Yeah, we'll cut it. I appreciate it, bro. We'll get back. We'll have you back on soon. I want to keep this conversation where we can talk about Western civilization.
Let's do that.
We'll write that in. And thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate your production, Sandy.
All right.
Thanks, Ed.
Decent.